Like, how does that help you get everyone involved, or how do you guys manage so many moving parts that early in the game?
Well, it's just a part of playing football now. We want to get our best players doing what they do well, and we don't want to give defenses a tell of what's coming. And there's a variety of ways to do that, but you can certainly think through personnel and how to be smart with it. And when you plan out your first 15, typically for a game, you do tend to think quite a bit about personnel, and um, substituting is a very important part of the game. Substituting with efficiency, doing it quickly, getting in and out, so I have time at the line of scrimmage with the play clock, and then making sure our coaching staff and our players communicate well on the sideline so that players can get in there quickly, and that's no small part of playing football.
Kirk, I know there's a lot of reasons for it, but you're on pace for a 5,000-yard season, lots of attempts, lots of completions. Is that something you feel that you can continue, or do you even want to continue it with the balance factor?
These questions are tough to answer because it's just not where my mind is at on a weekly basis. It does me no good to answer that question, to talk about that. I want to focus on the Arizona Cardinals, trying to win any way we can. If I throw for 0 yards, throw 0 passes, and we win, we're doing our job as an organization, as a team. We come in here on Monday happy. Certainly that doesn't tend to happen. You do tend to throw the ball, and stats can give you an indication of how a player is playing, but it does not tell the whole story. And so my focus is on what do we need to do each week to win. And in the first few weeks, we felt like throwing the football, getting pass attempts so that our best athletes on the outside can make plays was our best chance to move the football and to score points. That may not be the case every week, but it's given us a chance, to be explosive early in the season, and we'll see if it can continue. A lot of factors affect the ability to do that in terms of, the weather, the defenses you play, our health as an offense, and who emerges as players that we want to get involved.
Do you think with the way stats are up this year in the passing game, the more teams are maybe going to be winning with those gaudy passing totals versus in the old days, a lot of them were products are just coming from behind?
Yeah, I don't know. Again, it's just not my focus to kind of answer those questions. I mean, I think that's fun for everybody on the outside, for people who follow this league to talk about, to discuss around the water cooler. But for me, I just want to do whatever it takes to win, and it'll change even within games. I mean, if you have a lead, a 2-score, 3-score lead in the fourth quarter, you better be running the ball to run the clock out, and you may end up with only throwing for a small number of yards, but you had a 2-score, 3-score lead early, and so that the game didn't dictate opening it up and launching it. When you're down to LA, when you're down to Green Bay, the game dictates you having to drop back and throw the ball all over the yard to stay in the game and to come back. And so every game will dictate, how the final numbers shake out.
Hey, Kirk, does that clock even tick in your head even faster when you're going up against a guy like Chandler Jones?
Well, I think he's an outstanding player, and I've played against him at least 3 times now, and he's been active and affected the game in all 3 games I've played against him. It seems like every week we play somebody who's an effective pass rusher and is going to impact the game, and sometimes more than just one. And so that clock's going off pretty fast every single week. But if there's ever a week where I feel that we got to be aware of a pass rush, it's certainly this week with Chandler Jones.
Is it almost comical that 7 weeks ago we were asking if you were worried about chemistry with Adam Thielen?
Yeah, I just think that, what happens if he goes 2 games without a catch? And now what's the comment? Where's the chemistry with Adam Thielen? I mean, it's week to week. It's day to day. That's why I just don't like to get caught up in all that. I'm just going to go play and do our best. And, I still look back and point to plays where our chemistry could have been better. And he could have more catches and more yards and more production. And he probably could have 2 or 3 more touchdowns. So let's go back and study the process and look at the plays where we can be better no matter what the production is or isn't around it.
I know you want to talk about Arizona, but really quick, jumping back on that 3rd and 1 play with 5 minutes left. It seems like with that lead play, it was really a production of play design and as much execution. What's kind of the key to both of those situations?
Well, you're certainly trying to put the defense in a bind with their eyes and where are they trying to what are they trying to stop? And on 3rd and 1, they're certainly thinking run. They're thinking they got to be aggressive downhill. And so you do put defenders in a bind with that type of play call. But certainly if they have the right sense and good instincts and they feel Kyle Rudolph going out in the flat, then the play may not be there. So, there's always a risk-reward with every play that's called. And you have to understand that defensive players are put in a bind, but they can react correctly, or they can get fooled just like offensive players can. And certainly in that situation, Kyle slipped out, and it was a great conversion. But that same play can get called, and then maybe it doesn't work. It's just the challenge of playing football and trying to have that chess match back and forth, play in and play out.
Your receivers have talked a lot about your ability to put the ball in a tight window, trusting that them do their part. Have there been times ever, over your career where you throw one of those and watch it like I don't think it's going to get through, and it still does? Is that something that happens at all regularly?
I think it does. I think that's, football in this league right now. It's fast. It's 11 on 11, and they're bringing pressures. They're disguising coverages. We're sending motions. We're making shifts. We're subbing personnels in, as we talked about. There's a lot of moving parts, and it's a fast game. And if you think you're going to throw every throw with great vision and a great understanding of where the ball's going, I think you're fooling yourself. And so there's a lot of throws that I make, especially last Sunday, where I'm trying to listen to the crowd's reaction to decide if it was complete or incomplete, because I'm looking through people's shins to try to see what happens. So that's the nature of playing in this league. And if you're not playing that way, it's going to be hard to get the ball out of your hand. You're going to take a lot of sacks. And so to avoid sacks, to avoid negative plays, there is certainly an anticipation and a trust that has to happen.
When you first started playing quarterback as a kid, is that one of the first things you work on, just the accuracy, like throwing through a tire swing or whatever?
Yeah, accuracy is something you can certainly work on, but I do believe it's hard to develop it. I think I heard one coach say one time, who was at Purdue, he said, I wish I could tell you that we made Drew Brees who he is, but he came to us day one as a freshman very accurate, as a 19-year-old. So I think that is true with accuracy, that in a lot of ways it's innate and you have it or you don't, but it's certainly something you can always work on to an extent. But Trevor Siemian always talks about, if you're a quarterback who was a natural runner as a kid, it's hard to develop that ability to sit in the pocket and instinctually find the open guy and throw with anticipation. Fortunately for me, I was actually pretty slow as a kid, wasn't a great athlete, and so I had no choice but to stand in there and find a way to move the football from the pocket, and I think in the long run that served me well.
Kirk, you've been pretty good this year under pressure. What goes into that? Is there a way you can kind of hone that skill of handling the blitz and pressure?
I think it's a combination of pieces that you can be good at any one piece, but when you put it all together, I think that's when you can be consistently good against pressure. And it varies week to week, but you got to be good with protections. You got to understand where your issues are, where your line's going, and then what your quick element is to get the ball out of your hand if someone's coming free. And then, you have to be able to just trust your receivers, their route depths, their angles, they're coming out of their breaks. They can make you successful against pressure because they're getting separation and getting open quickly. And, it helps when your line is versus pressure is holding up. There are times where a defense may bring 5 or 6 rushers, but nobody's getting home because our 5 or 6, our 5 linemen and our running back or our tight end are holding up in protection. And so that helps me be great against pressure. I may not even notice the pressure, and all I notice is that there's vacated zones in the back end because of the fact they brought pressure. And sometimes you love seeing pressure because you say, now I only have to go against 3 deep, 3 under instead of 3 deep, 4 under, which opens up a zone. And if our back or our tight end or our line can pick it up, now I'm free to sit back there and have more space to throw.
On that note, with reading the blitz, how important is it having that outlet receiver to kind of get that quick, short?
We always talk about, what are you going to do if it's not there? And what's your quick element? What is your answer to get the ball out of your hand if you got fooled? And so that's very important to know where that element is and that quick pass, that outlet to get the ball out of your hands. And some plays have better ones than others, but just always asking yourself that question is very important to stay ahead of what a defense is going to throw at you.
Has there been more of an emphasis to get that quick game going in recent weeks versus earlier in the season?
I don't think so. I believe I was asked this question since April. What will the Vikings offense look like? Will it be your offense from the past, Coach Flip's offense in Philly, the offense here in the past? And I said, we're going to be multiple. It's going to be a combination of everything. And when I talked about being multiple, one of the things we said was quick game. We're going to use the quick game, and we're going to use drop back, we're going to use movements, we're going to use play action, all that, but the quicks will be a major part of that. So I don't know if that's really ever changed. I think we've always seen that as a staple of being an offense that's doing a variety of things.
You were 2 of the Eagles, 30 sacks, 30 and a half sacks. Describe what it's like running from that.
Well, Yeah, one thing I talk about in my development as a player is continuous improvement. Am I getting better year in, year out? I always try to look at myself in, OTAs and say, am I better in this OTAs than I was a year ago or 2 years ago? And if you're seeing continuous improvement, you're doing things correctly. And I see continuous improvement in him. I feel like he's a better pass rusher now than he was 2 years ago. No disrespect to where he was 2 years ago, but he keeps taking steps. And that's exciting because it makes you wonder, how good could he be in 2 more years? But his work habits, his approach to what he does, to his craft, gives him that ability to have continuous improvement. And so he's come a long ways, I believe, since his original entrance into the league. And it's a testament to his work ethic. And I'm excited to see where he can go from here.
Kirk, I know you don't go against him, obviously, but what Larry Fitzgerald, what have you kind of observed looking at him over the years, and plus a lot of his off-the-field stuff? I mean, there's obviously how do you just kind of look at that guy overall?
He just seems to have set the standard for what it looks like to be a professional. He's really done everything right when you look at production on the field, good teammate, community involvement, doing well, off the field with his business interests. He's got a great network. I mean, he's pretty much the mayor of Phoenix. So he's just done everything right, and I think young players should point to him as the guy to follow and to learn from and to study. And I think that's been well documented, and I'm sure he enjoys the opportunity to get back home here after such an incredible journey and incredible career that is still going at a high level.
Have you met him much at all?
Yeah, I connected with him this offseason briefly, and he was very kind and lived up to the hype, if you will, as a person. And hopefully we can continue to connect in the future. Well, I think that we can be as good as we want to be, as good as we're able to produce on Sunday. I think we've shown flashes in spurts that show that every phase of this team can play at a very high level with anybody in this league. The key is doing it again and again and again consistently and putting it all together where the different phases of our team can complement one another. And so there's certainly a lot of reason for belief and confidence that the horses are here to do what needs to get done. It's just a matter of, can we do it over and over and over again as opposed to intermittently.
It seems like the play action, it's been successful even if you aren't running a ton, if you're not being super successful. What do you think that is?
Well, play action, and again, I feel like I'm repeating myself a little bit from a question a few weeks ago, but the play action pass game is so important. But it's important that everybody is involved, and so you need to have protection. You need a run cell by the offensive line coming off the ball. They can't look like they're pass setting. You need, a fullback who's involved. You need a running back who has a great pocket and, again, goes downhill, and his eyes are in a place where it looks like he's sell and run. You need your tight end involved in protection or in the route concept or doing both. You need your receivers to be able to win down the field, and all those pieces have to come together for then me to be able to sit in the pocket, throw accurately, see the field correctly. So all those pieces have to come together. And then I go back to Monday and Tuesday when Coach Flip and the staff sit down together and design these play-action passes. They need to be well designed. They're not all play-action passes are created the same. So when you put all that together, you can be successful. But if any one of those pieces is lacking, it doesn't matter, how I see the field or how the design is if another piece isn't pulling its weight. And so we all have to contribute, and it certainly is a part, again, of our offense, much like the quick game, that is just another piece that we throw in to be good on offense, and something that we'll take pride in as long as I'm here.
Last couple for Kirk.
You talked about not caring about the 5,000 yards or anything like that. Are there numbers that you use to help evaluate yourself, or is it just tape and coach?
I think you do use it all. I think the problem is you don't want to get caught up on any one statistic, so you try to look at, for example, I felt like I was taking too many sacks early this year. I felt like there were a couple games where I had 4 sacks. That's too many. And you go back and compare it to sacks per pass attempt. Well, we were throwing a lot, and so you're going to take a few more sacks. And so you had to see the statistics in light of the situations in the games and those kinds of a thing. Now, I may take only 2 sacks, but if we only have 20 attempts, that's not very good. So you have to look at those statistics to give you an indication of what's going on. And then you couple it with the tape and with what your coaches are coaching you to do, and then you get a better picture of the entire evaluation. But don't get me wrong, stats certainly do correlate with good play. But I found that the best way to get the production is to just kind of put blinders on, not focus on it, and then let that kind of take care of itself.
Kirk, Dan, you know, was the one who recruited for Michigan
He
State.
was, yeah.
What's that relationship like now? Do you still get a chance to get in touch with him?
Oh yeah, we've texted back and forth from time to time. He had a big impact, I feel, on my development. First of all, in getting me to Michigan State and encouraging me as I developed as a young player at Michigan State. And I think we approached the game very similarly with an intensity and a passion. He's a former quarterback, like I'm a quarterback. So, he and I both have a passion for the green and white, and I'm thankful that he was brought into my path. He's had an impact on me getting to where I am.
What made now the right time for you and Julie to launch a foundation while you were in this one?
Yeah, I think it was something that was in the works this off season, and just the nature of trying to dot I's and cross T's, it took a little longer. But we just felt like everything was ready to go, and we're very excited about being able to hopefully have a positive impact on this city, the Twin Cities, the state, and really globally. With not only the gifts that we give to the foundation, but hopefully other people can get behind it and give as well. And we want to put the nonprofits on display that we're giving to. We feel really good about those organizations, and we want to make people aware of the work they're doing. And so we think it'll be a great platform to do that.